All right, as promised in this video, I will work through On Your Own 5.2 for you. Again, as I cautioned you at the end of video number 2, please make sure that you've really tried to work through this problem yourself first. And hopefully you're watching this because you're stuck and not because you got lazy, all right? So let's work through this. I'm going to use the chart format that I introduced to you in the last video because there's a little bit different, there's some different information here that would make the approach is the same, but you have to make some different assumptions with the information that you've been given. So On Your Own 5.2, this time we're given molality. Last time we were given molarity in the example, but this time we're given molality. The molality of a solution of calcium chloride is 0.500 molal, and the density is 1.07 grams per milliliter. What is the molarity of the solution and the mole fractions of solute and solvent? Okay, so I've got my given information right here. So let's fill in what I already know. If it's a 0.5 molal solution, what that tells me is that molality is 0.500 moles per what? What is molality? It's moles per kilogram of solvent. So what that means is that I have 1 kilogram or 1,000 grams of solvent. Okay, and I'm going to assume 3 significant figures here, okay? So I have 1 kilogram or 1,000 grams of solvent. I'm asked to find molarity. Now for molarity, I need the moles of solute, but I also need the volume of the solution. I can find volume of solution from the density, which I've been given, but in order to find density, in order to find that volume, I need 2 numbers. I need both the mass and the volume to set it equal to the density, and I don't have either one of those right now. So what can I figure out? Well, I can always go from the number of moles to the number of grams. So let's start there, okay? So I have 0.500 moles of calcium chloride, and in 1 mole, there are 111.1 grams. I can't read my own handwriting because I don't have my glasses on. 111.1 grams. 111.1 grams of calcium chloride. And so when I multiply that out, that's going to give me 55.6 grams of calcium chloride. Okay, so 55.6 grams there. Now, since I know the mass of the solute and the mass of the solvent, I can add them together to find the mass of the solution. So when I add them together, that's going to give me 1,060 grams of solution. Okay, now that I know the mass of the solution, and I have the density of the solution, now I can find the volume of the solution. Because remember, density is mass over volume. I know the density, 1.07 grams per milliliter. I know that the mass of the solution is 1,060 grams. So now I can find the volume of the solution. And when I solve this, take 1,060 and divide it by 1.07, that's going to give me a volume of 991 milliliters. Okay, so fill that in up here, 0.991 liters. Now that I have that information, now I can calculate the molarity, because the molarity is going to be equal to 0.500 moles over 0.991 liters. And if you divide that out, that will give you 0.505 molar. Okay, so there's the molarity. I was also asked to find mole fraction. Well, to find mole fraction, I'm going to have to find the moles of solvent. Again, finding moles if you have mass is easy, because all you've got to do, if you have 1,000 grams of water, And I know that in 1 mole, there are 18 grams of water. And when I divide that out, that's going to give me 55.6 moles of water. So I can write that in up here, 55.6 moles. Okay. Then for mole fraction, the mole fraction of calcium chloride is going to be the 0.5 over 0.5 plus 55.6. When I watch my significant figures, we've got 0.5 over 56.1. And then when I divide that out, that's going to give me 0.00891 as a mole fraction. Okay? Then if I want the mole fraction of the water, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take 55.6 over 0.500 plus 55.6, which is going to be 55.6 over 56.1. And when I divide that out, that's going to give me 0.991. And once again, if you add those two together, you will see that they add up to 1, which means that your numbers are reasonable. Okay? All right, got through that problem. Now, not every problem that you've been given is going to expect you to take what you have and find absolutely everything else. The first 2 problems were that way, but not all of the problems as you go through your assignment are going to be like that. The table will always help you eventually get to where you need to go, but be aware that there may be a couple of different directions you can go, and maybe you don't have to find all of the information to find the information that was asked for. So you do want to kind of be aware of that, so you end up doing you don't end up doing a whole lot of extra work. All right, so there's On Your Own 5.2, and I will turn you loose to work on your homework assignment.